Hello, I'm Eric Nelson. I'm a board member with the Iowa Rock and Roll Music Association. And welcome to another episode of what we're going to call Rock the Room. It's a music series that will showcase the musical talent of artists in the state of Iowa. It will also showcase the talent of artists from neighboring states who perform in Iowa as well. I'm proud to be part of an organization that encourages youth to engage in music while recognizing the hard work and talents of the artists who have inspired music lovers across the Iowa landscape for decades. We're going to leave you a link below where you can go on there and check out what we're all about. When you click on there, you'll find out some information about the many programs we're involved in, information about our museum in historic Arnold's Park. There's also concert information on how to become a member, and you can even pick up some cool merch while you're there. So please check that out. I'd like to thank tonight's sponsor, David Carbaugh from Red Oak, Iowa. Dave and I became friends 33 years ago when I moved from Kansas City to Red Oak. I was in the middle of high school, or the middle of my senior year when I moved there, and I remember Dave came up to me in creative writing class, and he asked me if I wanted to go tubing after school. And of course, I didn't know what that was, coming from Kansas City, and I asked him about it, and he said, we're just going to simply be floating down the river on inner tubes. And I thought to myself, well, I've never done it, but sounds fun. Check. Easy. Check. So I accepted the offer, and we became good friends ever since. And since then, Dave's become my insurance agent with State Farm Insurance. He runs the office out of Red Oak. So he's got me covered as a friend and on all my personal belongings, my house, my car, and all that as well. And if you're looking for insurance or thinking of switching, give him a call. He's a great guy, very knowledgeable, and he's the type of guy, if you ask him, he might even take you tubing. So I'd also like to thank the sponsor for our last episode, Bill Hillman of the Depot Deli and Lounge in Shenandoah, Iowa. And also I'd like to thank the last musical guest, Gas and Grass. They're a great young talent. We're very happy that they came on and did the show. So I got a couple more thank yous that I want to give here. One of them is to my good friend Rick Hilliard and fellow rocker. Rick is also a board member with the Iowa Rock and Roll Music Association, and he was inducted in the Iowa Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2018. And he's providing us with this great space, and he's also got us covered on sound. And behind the cameras over here, we've got our producer Owen Justice and Lizzie Roberts helping him out. They do a great job of making everything look and sound great. And aside from that, Owen also, he has his own band, and he's got an album coming out, and very talented young songwriter, and we're excited for him with that. So with that being said, one more thing before I introduce our musical guest, and that is going to be Rick talking about an organization that the Iowa Rock and Roll Music Association is very proud to partner with, and it's called Guitars for Vets. So why don't you talk about that a little bit, Rick?
Hello, my name is Rick Hilliard. I'm a board member at the Iowa Rock and Roll Music Association since 2018, so I'm going on my 5th year. It's been a great ride for me, and my good friend Eric Nelson is now on the board with us. He came calling when I went to ask him, and it worked out great. We're working on a project called Guitars for Vets. This is a nationwide program. They've graduated lots of... What they do is they supply a guitar for a veteran, say with PSTD or something, and they take 10 lessons, and if they pass the course, they get to keep the guitar. So the guitars most of them so far have come from Dietz around here, from Dietz Music, and now we're cutting a deal with Legit Music, so we're going to be getting some guitars from them to be given away. Without much effort, I'm close to raising $1,000, and we haven't even had an event yet. So people are into this. If you'd like to contribute, hit me up on my Facebook page, and we'll take it. It's 501c3. Write it off. The government loves it that way.
Yeah. And that's just another reason when I say I'm proud to be a board member. That's just another reason to be proud. I mean, that's such a great cause. You can't think of really much better cause than that. Giving somebody a mental break.
Yep. The suicide rate for veterans is between 16 and 20 per day in this country.
That's ridiculous.
We just can't. What's one worth? $200 guitar. Let's just keep pushing forward with this.
Yeah. Well, if you are interested, please reach out. It'd be great. Our musical guest is someone that I've been a great friend with for over 20 years. We shared the stage together. We've laughed together. We've traveled together. We've recorded together. And I even officiated the guy's wedding. I'm going to quit talking and I'm going to introduce my friend Ryan Osbahr.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, man, thanks for coming on. It's good to see you. It's been a
absolutely.
while since we've hung out, so it's really cool we get to do it at this capacity.
Yeah,
A lot of fun.
yeah. Tabor, Iowa.
Yeah, man. Right on. Yep. Rick's got a cool hangout here, doesn't he?
for sure.
All right. Well, you're the front man for the band Pony Creek.
Yep.
And I happen to play with them. And you're also in the band Fountains of Dane,
I am. Yep.
which we'll circle back to Fountains of Dane, but I first kind of wanted to set the table a little bit.
Sure.
So your wife, Amber, and my wife, Crystal, are cousins.
Yep.
And that's essentially how we first started hanging out.
Yep.
Excuse me. And that was around 2000-ish?
Yep.
Probably around there?
I would say around there.
And at the time, you were in the band Goodspeed. You were the front man for the band Goodspeed, and you went on to play with your band, or your front man also with Icarus.
Yep.
And both of those are more alternative, harder rock bands.
Yep. Yep.
And at the time, I was playing also, but I was doing more of an acoustic, kind of folky, bluesy
Americana
thing.
kind of country.
Yeah. And but I remember early on, you said to me, one of these days we're going to record together on an album.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, and around 2013 ballpark.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
Yeah. And 3 albums later, and
Exactly. Yes, I was going to say
We're still
you sent me some demos,
Yep.
and I laid down some tracks, and ultimately became a member of the band.
yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun ever since. But my first question I want to start off with is, what was the transition like to switch from one style of music to a completely different style of music? Because if I didn't mention already, if people don't know, Pony Creek is more of a country rock band.
Yep.
So
it was definitely different for me. I grew up kind of in a small country farm town, right? And so I grew up with a lot of country music and a lot of country influences, even though that wasn't necessarily what I played. And I think the transition was really smooth for me just because my good friend that you know and have had on Bandwagon, Dan Olson, he was doing country.
Yeah.
And at the time, me and Amber were in Colorado, and we decided to move back into the area. And Dan was like, hey, you should start doing shows with me. I'm doing these shows and playing country songs and learning country covers and doing this new deal now. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'm in. And before you knew it, I was writing a country album. So yeah. So I mean, it was always something like that. I just, when I got back and I wanted to start doing music again, I didn't want to do what I'd already done. And so I wanted to do a new challenge. And so it wasn't an easy decision, but I was glad that I ultimately did it. So.
Well, at least you had the background and the knowledge of country music and some of those roots to guide you. So
yeah, well, I grew up in a small town. My dad worked on farms and drive semis and I came from a very country kind of grounded background, and so it was very natural for that.
Yeah.
So
And if you don't mind sharing, where were you from?
Avoca, Iowa.
Oh, Avoca.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's an exciting place. I go back to see my dad every once in a while.
Yeah. Nice. Driven through it a lot of times.
Yeah.
I don't really know anybody other than you from there.
I only know my dad.
Yeah.
So
I only know your dad.
that's it. I haven't been back a ton. But
That's all you
I
ever
do love-
knew there? You never left the house?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So what are some of the other things that prompted you? Is there anything else that prompted you to make the switch, or?
We, also, another probably something that helped shift or help guide me that direction was the people that I was now going to cater to, right? When we were in our 20s, loud rock, hard rock music was very digestible, and was who I was playing to, and as I was getting older, I think people wanted to hear less hard rock, loud rock.
Yeah.
They wanted to hear something that was a little more easily digestible as far as genre. And so it's just really easy for me to kind of just do what I was doing before, but just in a different kind of context and different instrumentation and delivering it a different way. And so that was also probably a big part of it.
Cool. Well, I think this is a good point for you to play one of your songs. What are you going to play for us?
I am going to play a new song called Lost in the High Beams.
All right, cool. I haven't heard it, so I'm looking forward to it.
Brand new.
All right, awesome.
Right on.
Run away from the past. You can leave it now, don't look back. Times are changing, baby, now so are you. Ain't no use in feeling sad. You can get all angry and mad. It's amazing what we put ourselves through. And my heart is beating like a drum. Service engine light is coming on. And I can't keep it on the road. Stop this sliding. I'm lost somewhere out there. Lost in the high beam. You can tell me a story and I'll tell you mine. How you called it quits, had to walk the line. We can write a different ending this time. It is forever. Yeah. And my heart is beating like a drum. Service engine light is coming on. And I can't keep it on the road and stop this sliding. I'm somewhere out there, lost in the high beams, lost in the high beams.
Well, very cool, man. You know, one thing that I always am curious about is what a songwriter's process is like. You know, some people like myself, I have to write the music first, and then the lyrics just come with it. That kind of sets the tone, and some people do it the opposite, and everybody kind of has their own little thing that they do. What's your process?
Yeah, it's usually written around like one phrase or one idea. I come up with like the main thing or an idea and then write around that, right?
Yeah.
And usually I write the music and the lyrics at the exact same time.
Really?
So like that song I just did, I had the chorus kind of came to me first.
Yeah.
And I kind of, one thing I said was about a vehicle. And then I started saying multiple things about it, like things like that. And I just kind of build off of like one thing, right? Cool. Stuff like on Hearsay, it's usually off the choruses, right? The hook or whatever. Like I'll usually discover the hook first and then write around the
Yeah, I kind of do that the same way too. Kind of get a hook and build around it.
Yep.
But I have to have the music done first, pretty much, or at least 2/3 of it. I have to have a good solid 2/3.
I've never just...
And I am weird. You're right.
I've never just wrote a music song, right?
Yeah,
or just music. Even though, I've wrote tons of riffs and tons of parts, but it's usually to fit with the lyrics kind of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong way.
No, there isn't.
So,
No.
well, and you mentioned Hearsay, so that's a good transition point here. How would you say that Pony Creek has evolved from the first album up to the Hearsay album, the latest album?
Okay. Well, when I did that first album, I really wanted to do a very drastic change from what Icarus was, right? And so I purposely did a lot of acoustic, a lot of banjo, a lot of mandolin, and not as much electric on that album because I was going for a completely different thing. And that evolved into Pie County, which is more of a rock-driven album. But I wanted to make sure that I didn't like go too, I never wanted to go too heavy, right? And after we did that, I was like, well, maybe I went too heavy or too rock, right? And I felt like, man, I got to do something different now. And so Hearsay is much more acoustic driven, and more acoustic instrument driven. And we did like that album completely live.
Yes.
And so things that I think have evolved for us as a band, in my opinion, are just kind of our live performances. And we discovered that we played well live and started recording live. Just because we were getting better feel or better takes when we were doing the live takes. And so that's one way we've evolved. And now I would say our newer stuff that we're planning to release here soon is now swinging back again towards the harder kind of more rock country kind of stuff, if it's even country anymore, you know. But yeah, so I mean, I kind of like doing that. I don't like doing the same thing over and over, even though I like working with the same people over and over. Right? I like working with the same people, but doing it differently. With the same people. Like, we've used Jim for every album, right?
Yeah, and I was going to say, and you do that with the studio too, not just your songwriting. I know you really enjoy the studio.
I do.
And
we always change studios, right? We usually try not to record at the same place we recorded the last time, because I don't want to make the same album. And if it's the same guys, I mean, there'll be different songs, but it's the same album, in my opinion. So that's another way we've evolved, you know, just trying to make little small changes to give our band a little different feel.
Yeah. Mixes it up, keeps it fresh and interesting too.
So for sure.
Well, cool. Well, let's circle where we did circle back to this point. We're going to talk about Fountains of Dane. Now, that's a real fun project, and I shouldn't say a project. It's a band. You guys are out playing live, and the shows that I've been able to make it out to, looks like you're gaining popularity because you guys have had some really good crowds when I've been out. So, why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Fountains of Dane is something that I've been doing for a little over a year and a half. Started out as me and my friend Dane Marvin, who you know well. And we would sit around and drink on my back deck and sing old 90s songs, and especially a band called Fountains of Wayne. And so we were like, oh man, wouldn't it be so cool if we could do a Fountains of Wayne tribute band? And I'm like, why don't we? You know? So that is where that started. And we did one show where we did just strictly Fountains of Dane songs, and it was a lot of fun, but we knew that there was just not a lot of longevity with that kind of project. One, there's only one really famous Fountains of Wayne song, right? And that's Stacy's Mom. And so even though they have other hits and other things that we were, you know, that we focused on and played, you know, there's only so much and so many people that know that band, and they're not even active anymore. So we decided that we were going to just kind of start taking our favorite stuff from the 90s, and we are just kind of doing everything, especially like songs from bands that maybe aren't their number one track or their biggest hit. And doing 3 hours of it now, three and a half hours of it now. And it's been fun and takes a little work, but it's being well received and really enjoying it.
Yeah, man. And you do them all well, you know, and when I was doing my thing during the 90s, I never really appreciated the 90s music scene at the time, because I was doing the stuff that I was writing and doing the stuff that I grew up on, which was classic rock, classic country and stuff like that. So I was so focused on that, I never really listened to much going on in the 90s, but over the years I've learned to appreciate a lot of those songs. And God, there's some really good catchy stuff. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I missed out during the time. But so yeah, I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't real involved back then, but I know all the songs when you guys play them. I know pretty much every song you play, so no wonder it's well received.
Right, and I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, there are a ton of acts that we're playing, like when I was growing up, I didn't like Oasis. I thought Oasis was terrible.
Yeah.
And now, like, I went and bought their album on vinyl.
Yeah.
And I've learned like half of that entire album. I like have a huge appreciation for something that I always thought that I didn't like. So yes, it definitely opens the door for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, cool. Is there anything else that you want to talk about or promote or anything before you do another song for us?
Not really. I mean, Pony Creek, we're working on new material. We're hopefully going to release a few songs this summer. We're going to play some select shows. Keep your eye out for that stuff. Fountains of Dane, we have a few things coming up. I would say, I don't know exactly when this will air, but we are playing May 5th, which is a Thursday night for bike night outside, or not outside, in Griswold at the east of Omaha.
Cool.
Yeah. And so that's for their annual bike night, and that's their first of the summer. So I think that's usually one of their bigger nights, and we're excited to do that. And that's about it.
Awesome, man. Well, if there's not anything else, let's do another song. And what are you going to take us out with?
Yeah, it's another brand new one. I wanted to play some new stuff tonight.
Yeah,
it's
that's
been a little while.
absolutely fine.
This is another one we'll call. It's called Another Year.
Okay, great. We'll look forward to hearing it.
Cool.
And thanks for coming out and hanging out with us
Absolutely,
this evening.
man.
All right, buddy.
Good to
Take
see
care.
Get along, little doggy, get along. You've been riding on the fence for far too long, winding down the long and dusty trail where the moon don't hang enough to tip the scales. Another year around the sun seems to take and far too long, and I wanna make it up to you, feel like you matter too, baby. Yeah, it's alright. Now that you are by my side, I lose track of time, baby. The years just roll on by. Yes, they do. Oh, me and you. Move along, little darling, move along. You've been flying far too close to the sun, floating far too high for you to fail, where the wind don't blow enough to catch the sail. I'm counting down from 10 to 1. Another year has come and gone, and I wanna make it up to you, feel like you matter too, baby. Tell me now it's alright. Now that you are by my side, I lose track of time, baby. The years just go on by. Yes, they do. All for me and you.